You're listening to Business Stories with Ryan R. Karachi, a podcast dedicated to helping entrepreneurs become even more successful. Let's jump into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Stories podcast with Ryan R. Karachi. And I want to touch on a topic that I feel like we don't talk a lot about, and that is mental health, and especially specifically for men's mental health. I think as men, we don't open up very much about our mental health struggles or our own issues that we face, even if it's just day-to-day work life stresses. And I know for myself, I felt it a lot, especially recently. So my guest today I'm excited to speak to is Rob Greene. He's the author of Unfiltered Wisdom, Raw and Honest Truths About Living with Trauma. So, Rob, and you're also a veteran, I understand. So, thank you for your service and thank you for coming on the podcast. Tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired this mission for you.
Okay, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
A bit about my background. I was in the military from 2002 until 2008. After that, I worked internationally, and I had PTSD from the military, but I didn't really know what that was. I
Yeah.
just had kind of habits and things that I normalized that everyone else around me felt pretty strange.
Right.
And my mental health started to really decline after I lost my father to suicide in 2013.
Okay.
And I was just trying to hold things together, do what we're taught to do as men. You have to be
Right.
the pillar of the family, you have to handle everything. And I was trying to do that, but there was a progression of long events that kind of caused things to fall apart. And so when I turned to the Department of Veterans Affairs for help, I was told that I needed to wait 8 months for a mental health appointment. So that kind of forced me to go into alternatives, and I kind of went deep in that drawer. And the whole book, Unfiltered Wisdom, catalogs my journey, everything that I learned, and how I can share that with other people. So to answer your question, the background was based on necessity. I kind of
Yeah.
had to seek alternatives and do my own thing because conventional solutions were being very slowly delivered and they weren't effective when I
Yeah.
did get them.
Right. And walk us through a little bit about that experience. I mean, what were you feeling? And you said you had these sort of behaviors, which a lot
Mm.
of people may not really understand. Like, describe what some of those behaviors could be or what people should
Okay.
recognize in those behaviors.
In my case, being a veteran and being psychologically conditioned by the military, I have a hyper dissociation psychology. They do this to you when you're in basic training, where they want you to dissociate with your emotions so you can face stressful situations without really caving into your feelings.
Yeah.
And they don't really teach you how to turn that off. So when you get out of the military, like your emotions can be happening in the background, but you can't feel anything, even if you want to.
Right.
You're completely numb. Like I remember there was a day I was walking by and a man fell off the building. It was a very gruesome scene. And I
Yeah.
walked by and I looked at it and I felt absolutely nothing. I'm like,
Hmm.
went about my day like nothing happened. So
Yeah.
they shut you off and you compartmentalize things to an extent where you can't feel if you want to. But however, those kind of things come back to bite you unconsciously. So they can
Right.
manifest as like insomnia, they manifest as chronic addiction to substances and things that will kind of help you maintain a level of mental peace.
Yeah.
They manifest as like relationship problems. So you can't consciously access your emotions, but unconsciously they start playing a part in your decision making process that usually leads your life to a very dark place.
Right. So, for the people listening that struggle with this, first of all, you have to recognize it, I think. But how do you take the right steps towards the right solution to kind of overcome this? Because it sounds like it's a bit of a reprogramming. You're programmed in a way through the military. Now you get out of the military and you have to reprogram once you get out. And that seems like a hard mountain to climb, right?
Yeah. Well, for people who haven't been conditioned by the military, there is a certain amount of disassociation we do from negative experiences that does manifest in our lives unconsciously. And so typically, what's going to happen is if you have a negative experience that's severely traumatizing and you don't go for any kind of help or therapy, or you just kind of leave it in the back burner, it's kind of like the analogy of, let's say there was a man who broke his leg in 5 places. and
Yeah.
he never went to the doctor, right?
Right.
And he just kind of let it heal naturally. He just, oh, I don't want to think about it.
Right.
And so now he walks with a chronic limp,
Yeah.
right? We can't really expect him to be able to run a race or play basketball, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing is true emotionally. Like if you've had an experience that's broken you emotionally, that's given you this invisible injury, then you're going to do broken things in life. You're going to
Right.
have these kind of things that happen, and you raise your children, when you interact with your relationships, when you get under stress and you get triggered.
Yeah.
These things are going to manifest because of a result of an unhealed invisible injury. So
Yeah.
if you have one of those, the first step is to acknowledge it. Like you did break your leg, right? The man with a broken leg can't deny it because it's
Right.
obviously there. And the second thing is you have to come to terms with these emotions that you're feeling behind it. What does this cause me to feel? What does this cause me to do? What do these things really feel like? Well, how can I be honest with myself and face these things, which is a very hard step for a lot of people.
Right.
And the third thing is to be able to process these emotions. You have to do something with them in order to help heal and repair them. And a lot of forgiveness is necessary,
Yeah.
and a lot of just raw, brutal honesty with where you are and how you feel, and moving forward from a place of safe vulnerability,
Yeah.
so you can admit these things yourself and get the help you need.
Yeah. I want to ask you too, Rob, because you've traveled a lot and you've been
Yeah.
around the world and you've experienced these, I don't know if you'd call them rituals or practices. It seems like that have really benefited you, I'm sure, and others when it comes to mental well-being. And I want you to like kind of describe maybe some places or some experiences you've had that have really been transformative for you.
Okay. Yeah, sure. The first one was in the Philippines after my life kind of fell apart from January of 2014. After losing my father to suicide, I had to go back to work and try to hold things together for 2 years, and everything just fell apart in my life. My ex fiance left me, my career took a nosedive. Like I was just in a place where I had to unplug. So I packed up everything that I had and I sold all that stuff, and I moved out to the jungles of the Philippines, and I set up a sustainable community out there. It's a tourism business,
Wow.
and turning a new leaf by being in nature and being away from the city and being away from civilization was a really good first step for me for healing.
Hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because when you're in a city or you're in a familiar environment, you're always going to lean on familiar habits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when I was in the city before and I feel bad, I can immediately lean on a habit that would get me out of that process of clearing out that emotion, right? I could go
Right.
down to the bar on a 2 for 1 night. I can
Yeah.
call up a couple of friends and go out to eat and stuff my face, or
Yeah.
can get on a dating app and meet somebody new, or go do retail therapy and buy new gadgets or a new car or whatever, right?
Right.
So getting out of that environment and being completely immersed in nature where there's no constant, I guess, assault on your mind for stuff that
Noise.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, noise, like stuff that you don't really want, but you're told that you should want,
Right.
it gives you a lot of clarity. And then working with my hands and spending a lot of time with people that have very, very simple lives and simplifying my life, it really helped because it helped me unpack things.
Yeah.
Because trauma exists in the body as a charged emotional energy. And if you're stagnant, you're not moving. And we're in front of a screen all day, like most of us are, if you have a quote unquote a good job, right?
Right.
You're not really moving. And so doing a lot of movement, doing a lot of hard labor, being in the jungle, living with the tribal people, I mean, having to learn their language, incorporate into their ways, learning to climb coconut trees and build with bamboo and fish and spearfish and hunt and all that kind of stuff. Like it was a great first step of getting out of my old self and really starting to turn a new leaf in life and learning how to be in my own energy without
Yeah.
a constant need for this kind of habit I was leaning on.
Right.
And one of the most profound lessons I learned out there, to keep it small and bite sized, is that happiness is simply the sum of your expectations, preferences, and desires weighed against your reality.
Wow. That seems kind of complex. So
So think
explain that
about
a little
this.
bit more. Yeah.
Okay. Think about this. Like when I was in the States and when I was successful,
Yeah.
me and my fiance, we would eat dinner, but we'd constantly be in a screen. We wouldn't be present with each other.
Right.
And then afterwards, we'd go and watch a movie or go watch TV, and we constantly have our attention somewhere else. We didn't really enjoy what we had created. It was just kind of a normal run of the mill, take it for granted thing.
Yeah.
And there was always felt like there was something wrong. But yet, when I was living with the tribal people, like a meal was a feast and a celebration, just for the
Right.
fact that we had food for the day. So someone would go out and catch a really big fish, maybe bring back like snapper or barracuda, and then we start a really big fire. Then we drink, coconut water. We'd eat a bunch of fruits. We'd make a big meal, and everybody was together and present.
Yeah.
So it's like, why do I feel better with people that are cooking over a fire in the jungle in huts versus being in my house and having all of this great stuff, but I'm not really present with that, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, that can be spun a lot of different ways. But the thing is, whenever you expect something, whenever you desire something, or whenever you prefer something, if reality lines up to that, guess how you feel? You feel happy.
Right.
Whenever reality doesn't line up to that, then you feel very angry or sad or disappointed. There's a lot of
Right.
feelings associated with that.
Yeah.
So mentally, there's two choices on how to find more happiness. Number one is you always have to work to make reality match your desires, preferences, and expectations, which doesn't always happen, right?
Yeah.
Or number two, you have to learn to control your mind so your desires, preferences, and expectations can match your reality on a regular basis.
Yeah.
There's only two options you have.
Right.
And maybe solution A is appropriate, maybe solution B is appropriate. But on a case by case basis, simplifying the things that you want, the things that you expect, and the things that you prefer will bring you a lot more happiness in your life
Yeah.
because reality doesn't necessarily bend to us. We
Right.
have to work hard to change it,
Yeah.
or we have to work very, very hard to make it what we want it to. But it's always a fleeting thing of mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, not to go on a tangent, but let's say, for example, there's a new iPhone that just came out. People have one that's working perfectly, but all of a sudden they need a new one. And if they don't have the new one, they feel bad about it.
Right.
Right? Those kind of things happen where you have this constant assault of the things that you're told that you need to want, that you should expect, and that you have to prefer to feel a certain way. But is that really true? Objectively, most of the time it's not.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I mean, I think a part of it is just media and society kind of telling you what
Mm.
you should have or should want, or it's your peers or your family who have these expectations that you should be this or you should be that
Yeah,
by a certain age. Do you feel like there's pressure in that area too?
definitely. Well, it's what makes the whole world go round.
Right.
This has been happening for centuries. But
Yeah.
the the thing about it is like everything that we do is a means to an end to get to an emotional state.
Yeah.
Which is another profound lesson I learned out there in the jungle is that if I'm acting on an emotion, it's because I want to satisfy it or enhance it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So, meaning, like, let's say I feel the feeling of hunger. Everything I do around that emotion is to satisfy that feeling. I'm going to go look for a delivery app, or I'm going to go to the store, the Google Market, or a restaurant, or I'm going to go fishing and catch a fish, or I'll climb
Yeah.
a fruit tree. Whatever we do is to satisfy that emotion to bring us to a different state of emotion. Now, if we look at this on different angles of things, these expectations people have of us and these things that we need to buy and these things that we need to have and to be, essentially what we're buying into is getting into a state of emotion.
Yeah.
Like if we think about this, like, oh, if everybody else has a brand new iPhone 17 and I don't have one, I only have a 14, I don't feel like I'm included in part of this group of people
Right.
because I want to be respected and I want to be admired and I want the pride and sense of acceptance in this group of people because I had this thing.
Yeah.
So we're doing it not because of practical nuts and bolts necessity. It's because I want this feeling of acceptance,
Yeah.
right? That's just one case. But a lot of the times it's we're working to get into a state of emotion and activity is a means to an end to get there. And that
Yeah.
can be spun in millions of different ways. It's the world today.
So, I mean, this is really good stuff, and I think we all feel this to some extent. And I've even felt it myself recently, just with pressures from things I'm doing.
Mm.
I want to ask you, like, what can people start doing right now in terms of a routine to break out of this sort of, constant need, constant trying to meet expectations or meet what everybody thinks they should have, or what even you think you should have personally, right? Um, how do you break that? I mean, because it's everywhere, right? And it's
Yeah.
difficult, and it's a pressure it's a cloud of pressure that hovers over all of us all the time, you know?
Yeah. The key to freedom is understanding, right?
Yeah,
Like if I was locked in a cage and I wanted to be free, I need to understand how to get out and how to make that lock open.
right.
So understanding would bring me out of that situation. So the same is true mentally. If you understand where you are and what makes you genuinely happy, then you have to weigh that against the lesser evil, I guess. Like
Yeah,
let me give you an example to make it really easy to understand. Let's say I'm really happy wearing a blue shirt and I
hmm,
love the color blue and I feel good in wearing blue, but everybody in my family said I should wear a red shirt.
yeah,
And they say we want you to wear a red shirt because we want you to fit in with us.
yeah,
What's more important? Is it more important for me to feel good in myself and what I want wearing the blue shirt, or to give that up and comply to what everybody else wants and
yeah,
be a part of the group now that I'm wearing a red shirt?
yeah,
If we weigh out what's more important, we have to weigh out, okay, right now I feel really great because I'm wearing this blue shirt, but not everybody is, I'm not, I feel a bit lonely and isolated from everybody else. So
yeah,
I don't really like that. Or, okay, I feel connected to everybody because I'm wearing a red shirt, but I hate the color
yeah,
and I'd rather be wearing a blue shirt. This is kind of an example, right? So
yeah,
the main point I'm trying to make is if you're clear on what makes you feel good, what's genuinely authentic to you, and what'll bring you to the best state of vibration, you'd have to be willing to sacrifice the thing that kind of makes you feel good, but is not as important as this.
right, right.
That
And
makes
that
that
thing
makes
you
sense.
care about may not be acceptable to everybody else, and that's okay,
Exactly.
right?
And that's okay. Is well, it's not always okay because again, you'd have to weigh out your priority.
Right.
Because you see this a lot with people that like example in my family, my mother's family disowned her because she married a black man, which is my father, and they had me. I never
Oh,
even met my grandparents, or I met her two brothers twice in my whole life, and they never even
wow.
showed up at her funeral, right? So
Yeah,
for her, being with the man she loved was more important than having the acceptance and camaraderie and being a part of that group of her family, and she was okay with that,
right.
right? So that was kind of one of those things where you'd have to weigh out what's important to you and go for that, even
Yeah,
though it might require some sacrifice of something else,
right.
which a lot of the times when people are being true to themselves, they're not really willing to always make that sacrifice, or
Yeah,
there's a lot of internal conflicts about what's more important. But if
right.
you have a crystal clear vision of what that is and you're willing to make that sacrifice, then it simplifies things.
I was listening to a podcast recently where it was talking about, it was actually Mel Robbins. I don't know if you've listened to Mel Robbins, but she's really good, and she has a
Mm.
podcast, and she was talking about how, you know, it's funny how really wealthy people who have everything can be depressed, you know.
Oh
And I used
yeah.
to think that when I was younger. I used to think, you know, how can all these like multimillionaire actors and actresses and all these very successful people become suicidal or be unhappy? It just seems like
Mm.
they have everything. They have everything they could ever want. I mean, and I think you're touching on that point that happiness doesn't come from material things. It comes from inside. And you could have nothing. And I got to ask you too. I mean, traveling the world and being around people that have some things and have nothing, but they can be extremely happy. Did you see that outside of this
Oh yeah.
country? And give us some
Oh,
examples
tons.
of that. I mean,
Yeah, sure. The most Now that you bring it up, the first thing that came to mind is when I was in India in 2017. I was living with a group of Vedic Hindu monks
mhm,
with sadhus,
yeah,
and they were renunciates. So they basically renounced all of their worldly attachments. So the only possessions they had were the bags that they were carrying. They didn't wear any shoes, and they slept on temple floors or out in the woods, right?
yeah,
So these guys were basically fully about it. They practiced yoga anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day. They would do
wow,
rites. They would go to temples and do blessings on people. They would collect alms. And living with them, I had a great time. It's probably one of the best 3 months period of my whole life.
yeah,
And I remember I got invited to a conference in the city of Mysore, which is in southern India near
hmm,
Bangalore. I forget the name of it.
yeah,
Anyway, so we drove out to Mysore, and then I was at this yoga conference, and I remember there's this very wealthy Indian lady, and she had two servants, two, I guess, helpers with her, and
yeah,
she had a driver and someone to tend to her. And then we checked in this hotel, and then she came down to the lobby and she was screaming at the staff about the quality of the sheets of the hotel,
Yeah.
like at the top of her lungs. Like she was
Wow.
greatly offended that they weren't a certain kind of sheet that she wanted.
Right.
And mind you, she's at a yoga conference, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was, wait a minute. Like I was just with a group of guys where we're sleeping out in the woods in the Himalayas,
Yeah.
surrounded by like, there's leopards and monkeys out there and all sorts of wild animals just around a fire. We were happy as can be.
Yeah.
But then there's a person that has everything handed to her, handed foot, and then she's crying over the quality of a bed sheet,
Right.
which is, I mean, is that really even a big of a deal?
Yeah.
And so the wisdom in this is it's not necessarily a matter of material, it's a matter of mind and material together,
Yeah.
right? Because if you have nothing, you can also be very depressed and sad, and it can be a very depressing thing.
Yeah.
And if you have everything, but you're missing things emotionally, it can also be equally depressing
Right.
because your mind is not matching the material frame that it's in to find that sense of happiness again.
Right.
Because I'm willing to bet, like I didn't really talk to this woman or engage with her, but I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of things she was missing emotionally. Maybe she didn't have a sense of camaraderie,
Yeah.
where she had a group of people that really liked her. Maybe she wasn't getting her emotional needs met in her marriage.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't have a good relationship with her children. Maybe there was things that money couldn't buy that she didn't have, and she was
Right.
acting those ways out of frustration because she was under the impression that because I have access to everything materially, I should be happy, but I'm not, and so I need to act out when I'm not happy because
Right.
it should be working, but it's not, right? Which I think, I mean, to your point with celebrities, I mean, sure, they might have millions of dollars and private jets and fancy cars and all this stuff, but do they have solid connections and friendships? Do they have a sense of privacy and internal peace?
Yeah.
Do they have a sense of camaraderie and people that really want to be their friends or people that are just using them? I
Right.
mean, what do they have to do to be famous? That's a whole nother conversation we can get into. But
Right.
mentally and emotionally, maybe there's a lot of things missing on that side that they're leaning into materially that aren't measuring up. Because again, what we do as an activity brings us to a state of emotion. It's a means to an end. And if
Yeah.
it's not lining up, we have this disconnect where we feel something is constantly off.
Right. What can you share with us, the listeners out there? I mean, based on your experiences traveling and being around these amazing people, all these cultures, what are some things we could do on our day to day to break free, be less attached to the noise, the screens, everything else? I mean, we have to sometimes, of course, we have to do
Mm-hmm.
that, but if you could pick out some things, some routines, some activities that you've seen these people do, um, that could really resonate here with us. We're in the
Yep.
state of the world we are, and especially in America, where there's a lot of political divisiveness. There's a lot of anger out there. There's a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, it's crazier now more than ever in some ways.
Yeah.
So we need this now more than ever. I think we need to
Yeah.
detach. You know what I'm saying? So what can you share about that?
I think the first thing is learn to be grateful for things
Right.
because the energy of gratitude will attract more things to be grateful for. Like,
Right.
I kind of give this example to people. Like, let's say you have a dad who's out there who's making toys for his kids by hand.
Yeah.
If he gives them a toy and the kid says, "Oh, I don't like this," and he throws it on the ground and breaks it, the
Yeah.
dad is not going to be motivated to do that again, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just spent hours making this for you and you throw it on the ground and you break it. Well,
Yeah.
you're not getting another one, right?
Yeah.
So if we look at this from a higher perspective, if we look at our idea of God or our idea of a higher power, and it blesses our lives with things that are good, and we ignore that, but we're complaining about residual things, we're not going to attract more goodness to ourselves.
Right.
Because let's say in America, right? Like growing up in the United States, we're being exposed to real poverty and real struggle. We have it great over there materially.
Yeah.
Even poor people in America have it way better than 99% of the other people in the world. Like
Yeah.
they
It's
have
true.
roofs over their head and running water
Yep.
that's clean. Like you have clean, drinkable water coming out of your
Yeah.
tap. You
Right.
have the option to have hot water. You have heating and air conditioning in your house. You have access to upward social mobility. It means you can start at the bottom and make something of yourself if you work hard. That doesn't happen everywhere in the world.
Right.
Like in places where there's caste systems, if you look a certain way or you're born with a certain last name, that's all you're ever going to be. And that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so the idea of being grateful is really, really good too. find the things that you appreciate about your life and focus on how you can show gratitude and gratefulness for those things.
Yeah.
The second thing is, what are we doing with all these implants of things that are coming into our minds?
Yeah.
We constantly absorbing news or social media, and all of these negative opinions and energies are coming to us. We have to think, like, how is this benefiting me?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm, for example, if I'm leaning on the left side of things and I'm watching someone with a MAGA hat walk around and I get really mad at them, how is that benefiting me?
Right.
And the same is true vice versa. If you're on the right or the right side of things and you want to make fun of the leftists, like, how does that benefit you to bring you to a better place authentically? It
Right.
doesn't, right?
Right.
So we need to weigh out the information we take in and the activities what we're going to do. How does this benefit me to make me happier, to bring me to a better state of mind and emotion and more peace?
Yeah.
Is it just a venting of frustration that causes more chaos, or is it actually going to make me happy? Nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, the things people are mad at each other about, they act on, it doesn't bring anybody any real happiness.
Right.
It
Yeah.
just creates more chaos, more hurt feelings, more division, and it creates this huge divide where we're constantly finding reasons to hate other people. And
Right.
we don't really need to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think the third and most important thing is the information filter. We have to stop ourselves from consuming something that's rotten, right? Like if
Yeah.
I presented you a plate of food that had worms and cockroaches in it, you'd probably reject it and say, no, I'm not eating that, right?
Right.
Sensibly. So if information is presented to you that's containing negative emotions and negative thoughts, why do we eat that?
Right.
Why do we consume that stuff? We have to turn that off. I don't need to think about that. It's not benefiting me.
Yeah.
What can I do to consume information, media, feelings, emotions, and things in my mind that are going to actually benefit rather
Yeah.
than just distract me or trigger me or entertain me?
Yeah. And I think what's fascinating about what you're saying is there's so many little simple things you can do in your life that are positive and um I guess healthy mentally, just as simple as going for a walk around the block, which I've been doing recently in the
Yeah,
sun. It's nice out, you know. I'm in Las Vegas, so this is the time of year where it gets a little bit cooler, not too hot. It's nice. And just doing a walk around the block to clear your mind and just kind of relax is amazing. And it's so simple. Um,
yeah,
and it's amazing that I think you're right. I think, in a way, media and social media, the TV, are starting to program people to be angry on both sides of the coin, right? And
mm-hmm.
it's manipulating emotions so that people's emotions are literally at a point where they're not in control of them anymore. They've lost control of
Yeah,
their emotions. They're angry. They're angry at family. They're angry at friends. They're angry at coworkers, whatever it is. And we've lost the balance, I think. Um, and
yeah,
I think
definitely.
you'd agree with that, right? I mean, do you feel like that's what's really happening right now?
I think people need to learn emotional intelligence and
Right.
emotional maturity. Like
Yeah.
that's your first step if you want to feel better.
Yeah.
You have to understand what emotions are and how they affect your psychology, your physiology, how they affect you.
Yeah.
Anger is a side effect of hurt and pain,
Yeah.
right? You can't have anger without something being painful that's hurting you because
Right.
anger is a defensive emotion.
Yeah.
Like if I did something negative or I did something bad to somebody that you love, you would get angry and defend them
Right.
because the thought of me hurting them would hurt you.
Right.
And so as a result of that, you would get angry and defend
Yeah.
against what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So if we understand our anger, what is at the root of it? What's the painful thing that's at the root of it? Do we
Mhm.
even know? Are we even clear about even what that is anymore?
Yeah.
And is this thing really ours? Because a lot of the times we get angry about things that aren't even affecting us.
Right.
I'll give you an example, like people that are going around and protesting the situation happening in Palestine and all that. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a horrible situation, and those things are they definitely shouldn't be happening. But what can you really do to affect the situation, and how is it driving you to a state of obsession to think that what you're doing is actually going to be effective? It's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
Like going and sitting in traffic or breaking things or getting mad at people that are just enjoying their lives is
Yeah.
not going to change the situation over there at all, right?
Right.
But sometimes people want to be a part of something or they feel like they're accomplishing a mission or they need an outlet for underlying issues. that they have. So they use any kind of cause and an excuse to go and take those out on the
Right.
world, but doing things that have literally zero effect on changing the situation.
Right. I want to ask
So
you too, like,
good.
oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I mean, I think at one point you had a very transformative experience. You were in a
Mm.
difficult place. You were in a dark place yourself with PTSD. You were suicidal, I understand. And at some point you saw a light. Like you got yourself out of the hole. Can you walk us through that experience and what changed your mind? How did you see this new path for yourself?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a one-time thing. It was
Okay.
a progression of things that happened. But
Okay.
for me, the most powerful thing that happened was the complete destruction of my ego.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because our ego locks us in a framework of I'm right, this is what I think, this is how things are,
Yeah.
period, in the story, right? And that's effective in certain areas of life, but when it comes to emotions, the ego and the logical side of the mind and emotions, they don't measure up. They're on
Mhm.
different wavelengths, right? It's like
Yeah.
AM and FM radio.
Right.
So for me, one of the best things that happened to me was hitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because it totally broke my ego. I was at a point where I thought I can handle everything on my own until life just said, no, you can't. We're going to give you so much, it's going to crush you to dust.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had to change what I was doing because I didn't have a choice anymore. This is
Yeah.
after an attempt to take my own life. I
Right.
was deep into an alcohol and drug addiction. My relationship was falling apart. And there was a time I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I can't do it. And I made an attempt to end my life. And luckily, my ex fiance stopped me by tackling me into a wall.
Wow.
And so that point when I was laying in a pool of blood and she was crying and having this mental and emotional breakdown over the trauma that I caused her, that point was I realized like I am dangerous right now. I'm in a very dark place and everything that I've been doing and everything that I think I know and everything that I think from this point out is not true. It's not working. So I have to change.
Yeah.
And that was a powerful moment where I basically said, all right, everything that this whole plan that I've been carrying out so far, everything I believed, it goes right in the trash can, and I need to open myself to something new.
Right.
And that's when I started my journey towards something new. But
Yeah.
that pivotal point of understanding that I don't have the answers, my ego is just getting in the way, and I need to change was pretty powerful in pushing me in that direction.
And do you feel like if we look at people who are entrepreneurial or business owners, I think at some point the ego can play a big part of that too, whether you become successful or not. How do we suppress that? I mean, how do we face the ego and try to become more humble and try to tell that voice to shut up, right? Like, how do we, it's so hard sometimes, I think, right? Because we have this version of ourselves we believe we should be or we are. And when it gets crushed, then we feel like it was all a lie, right?
Yeah.
And
A lot of times it is all a lie.
yeah,
But the thing is, let's look at the metric and idea of success because
yeah,
again, success is usually one-sided in terms
yeah,
of the metrics.
right.
Like, why do we have so many famous people in Hollywood and business people and all that that end up taking their own lives and suffering from depression?
Yeah,
They're supposed to be successful. Like, okay, you're sure you're successful materially, but if you're miserable, are you really successful?
right.
Like maybe in one area, but if you're struggling in others, then it's out of balance. So it's
Right.
not really bringing you the state of mind that you want to be in.
Yeah.
So I'd say the ego is necessary because it serves as like our front gate.
Yeah.
If we don't have an ego and we let everybody push us around, then we're basically at the mercy of the world. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of bad people out there that will take us in the wrong direction.
Right.
But so the ego does serve its purpose, but to what extent? How can we learn to train it and learn to observe our minds to a point where we know that, okay, this is just my ego getting in the way of a situation that is probably not going to go the way I think it should go.
Yeah.
So we have to learn to be objective and have the ability to detach from our egos to look at objective reality. And a lot of the times we don't want to do that because our ego is so hinged on things being this way or has to go like this that we
Right.
can't see objective reality
Yeah.
until it smacks us in the face, right?
Right.
And so, as a business owner and entrepreneur myself, I mean, I've had ideas about, okay, this is how it has to be. This is my vision. I want it this way. And I work so hard that I overcome so many hurdles just to find out in the end, like, oh, well, there was such an easier way to do it, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to listen to that because I thought I had it figured out, right? So
Right.
I'd say to answer your question, the ego is necessary. It's kind of like your front gate at your house. Like it
Yeah.
gives you a certain level of autonomy. However, there has to be situations where you can view reality objectively and know when to put that on the shelf and accept criticism and feedback and learn to change directions when necessary, when reality isn't matching up to what your ego is telling you is right, right?
Right. Right. This is all really good stuff, Rob. I mean, I think what we're learning is, cut out all the noise. And if you really want to be successful, be happy. Be happy with wherever you're at, right? I mean, accept where you are and find the happiness, find the gratitude in that, and everything else will come from there, right?
I think, well, one thing I want to make a caveat on, or an important distinction, is you shouldn't give up your ambition, right?
Right.
Because if you say, okay, I'm just going to be happy where I am, like I wouldn't have to have left the jungle, I would still be there, right?
Right.
So the idea is you can be happy where you are to a point where, okay, this is the baseline energy I'm operating in gratitude, and I'm expanding out of creative desire,
Mm-hmm.
not out of panic.
Right.
I'm in this place. I really, really like the energy that I feel. How can I enhance this?
Yeah.
Right? Rather than, oh my God, I feel like I'm a loser because I don't have this amount of clients. So let me work really, really hard and panic and get in this negative state of energy.
Yeah.
Like, sure, that can work, but the negative energy is just going to stay with you.
Right. And I
It's
think
like
that's,
burning fumes. Good.
yeah, I think that's how, like, I felt that too, is, kind of an entrepreneurial mind is like, you always feel like I'm never where I'm supposed to be. I'm never doing good enough at this present moment. Like, it's always got to be better. I should be always doing more. And I think that hinders growth. But it's like for me, and maybe for you too, it's a fire that's always burning and you have to kind of tone it down, right? Because that's what I feel in a way. And I think it's just personally being an ambitious person in my DNA anyway. So,
Yeah.
but it's
Well,
also a
it's a
double-edged sword.
balance, really.
Yeah,
It's a balance, really. Ambition is great. I mean, this is what gets things done. This is how innovations come. This is what changes the world.
right.
So you have to balance that ambition also with gratitude
Yeah,
and you have to learn to find what's appropriate for what situation.
right.
Like if you've been working for 10 hours and you come home and your body is physically exhausted and you can't see straight because you've been on the screen all day,
Yeah,
having your ambition kick in at 10 p.m. when you're exhausted to come harass you to do more is not going to be effective because you're not going to be doing high quality work, right?
right. Yeah,
So you have to balance out when those times are appropriate. Or if you're on a weekend trip with your family and you and your kids are spending time together, that's not the time to go be ambitious and try to work on a new project
right.
because you have this itch you need to scratch, right? So
Yeah,
you'd have to weigh out what situations are appropriate and how you can, again, you can balance your life out, fill up which bucket when. Because if life has different buckets of like success and finance and family and relationships and personal peace and solitude and spirituality,
yeah,
if all of those have an equal amount of liquid in them, you're probably going to be in a pretty good state.
yeah,
But if you have one bucket that's full of liquid and all the others are empty,
yeah.
then it's kind of like a car only driving with one tire inflated and all the others are flat, right?
Right, right. Yeah,
You
yeah.
can get it to move, but it's not going to be a smooth ride. And over the long enough timeline, it's going to damage the vehicle.
Right, right. So as we kind of wrap this up, Rob, this has been a great conversation. I want to ask you, what can people like people if people work with you or they want to work with you? Let's say they're an entrepreneur or they're a veteran or somebody struggling with PTSD or something, and they want to get back on track. I know you've got your book that's downloadable on your website. Can you give anybody some kind of an outline of how you work with people, what they can expect, and the kind of value you bring working with them?
Sure. Well, as it's called unfiltered wisdom, I don't really like to coddle people. Like this is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah,
So if you're the type of person that's looking for an easy solution, then it's not going to be for you.
yeah,
This is for people that want to get raw and honest with themselves to actually make changes and feel better emotionally. So it's kind of like the idea of pulling out a splinter. You know, the longer you avoid it, the more the infection grows. When you get it
right,
pulled out, it's a painful process, but it's necessary. So in working with me, I'm going to help you go on your own journey. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm responsible for everything. This is all going to be individualized work. And
Hmm.
I can guide you through the exercises, the mindsets, and the things to do. But inevitably, it all falls down on you. How bad do you want to feel differently about your life?
Yeah.
How bad do you really want to feel better? How bad do you want to get over these things that have happened to you and feel like you can be present in your life right now? If you want that, I can help you get there through the techniques and practices and things I've learned. And so it's going to be an uncomfortable process, but it's definitely effective.
Yeah.
And what I basically do is I help people go through different practices that I've learned and apply that to their lives. So applying the practices of the somatic experiencing with the body and yoga, with the discipline of training physically and doing martial arts. If you
Yeah.
want to do breath control and urge and impulse control, you can come with me to Bali and we can go free diving and you can
Hmm.
learn to control your breath in the water. So these things are it's a very gloves off approach to things, but it's very, very effective. If you
Hmm.
want to find me, my website is called unfiltered wisdom.com. And on the website, there's a section called the book. And if you register your email address, you can get a copy of my book. And from there, if you want to get in touch, we can talk about how we can possibly work together.
Yeah. And I already downloaded the book. I haven't read it yet, but I did go there. And I encourage you, if you're listening, if you are someone who's kind of at that crossroads, you're not sure what you want to do, where you want to go, or you're just at a brick wall in your life, or you're just struggling, get the book. It's free. Go to Rob's website, share this podcast episode, reach out to him. It's good that people are out there like you, Rob, to help others. And I think you are courageous in doing what you've been doing. I think you're doing great work, honestly, and to get out
Thank you.
there in the world and experience other cultures and really have that experience in yourself is fantastic. So I really want to thank you for coming on, and I hope we can keep in touch because I think there's a lot I can learn from you. Is there anything upcoming you want to promote? Any events? Any other books you're doing? Anything you're doing? Within the next year or so that you want to get out there and tell people about?
I'm planning to run a retreat here in Bali.
Okay.
So, well, I'd say here in Bali.
Yeah.
So, what I want to do is take people through the breath control of freediving
Okay.
because that really, really helped me. And the
Yeah.
reason why is because when you learn to control your body's urges and impulses to a point where you can remain calm under pressure, you can take that skill and migrate it to any area of life.
Right.
And a lot of the times we're out of touch with ourselves. We're constantly disconnected. We're in our heads a lot. So
Right.
helping people get really in touch with their bodies, where these emotions and where these things are actually happening, is really great and effective tool to help them start to process these things. And if you can do it in guided fashion with someone who knows what they're doing and help you really process these things and learn the skills of emotional intelligence, of emotional maturity, of breath control, and the practices around these things, you can definitely transform your life. So that's still in the works. I'm planning that. I do have online sessions that I do on a regular basis, and I do personalized one-to-one coaching for individuals. So if you're interested in any of those things, feel free to get in touch. And
Yeah.
I just want to leave things on one note, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
All of the work you're avoiding is what's standing in the way of you getting to the life that you want.
Yeah.
All the things that you know that you need to address in yourself, all the things that you're running away from, all the memories that you're hiding from, the things that you never want to revisit again are showing up in your life unconsciously, whether you like it or not. Just because you don't think about an experience or you don't want to re-experience that trauma again, it still manifests in other areas of your life. So if you want to get to a place where you're in a more state of, when you're in a better state of peace, you're in a better state of mind, when you have better relationships, when you can live a better quality of life, you have to do the uncomfortable work that you've been avoiding.
Right.
Until you do that, nothing is really going to change.
That's great. No, I completely agree. I think that's the first step. Everybody listening is that you got to face it head on, face the demons that have been hanging in your head for years, the trauma, face it head on, and work through it with a guy like Rob here. So, Rob, thank you so much. It's been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate you and I appreciate all that you're doing. If you're listening, go look up Rob Greene, look up his website, download the book. It's free, costs you absolutely nothing. And if you want some help, reach out to Rob. So, thank you so much, Rob. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Did you enjoy this episode? I hope so. If you want to support the podcast, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Ryan Says Thanks. Your support is appreciated. And hey, even if you don't buy me a coffee, I'm happy to have you listening. So keep it up, and thanks again.